Hi, welcome, and I hope you're doing well. This video here I'll be doing a teardown on an HP gaming laptop. The model of this one is HP Omen 2021NR. In this process, I'll be taking things apart, meaning that you will see how to do a repair or replacement or maybe an upgrade on your hard drive, your RAM, or maybe to change out the battery, or maybe change out your CPU fan, or maybe the heatsink, or maybe your motherboard. So this process here, I'll walk you through step by step, and I'll explain to you each of the hardware, the parts, on how to upgrade or to replace them. Alright, so let's get started. And first thing I need to do is to flip the computer to its back. Here, you need to remove the back cover. So what I'm using is just a regular Phillips screwdriver. The two screws on the top here are longer. The rest of other screws here on the side, they are a lot shorter. So there are two screws on the right side here. Additional two more screws at the bottom. And there's another two screws on the left. Alright, so once you have all the screws removed, the next thing I'll do is to pry open the back cover. What I like to do is I like to start from the corner. So once I get the leverage on the corner part here, I'll get my fingernail tucked underneath and try to pry open the back cover. Alright, once you have the back cover removed, and you will be able to see the entire back of your computer, the laptop. Alright, let me explain to you what you're seeing here. So obviously the motherboard is the one in the blue right here. This is your heatsink. The CPU and the graphics card is all part of on the same heatsink here. So this little plastic cover, you can actually remove it. This is just a plastic cover. Here is your RAM. So in order for you to remove the RAM or maybe upgrade the RAM, what you want to do is you want to use a two thumb and push them away from each other. So push it to your left and right, so away from each other. And once you push it, the RAM would slightly pop open, and this is where you can just remove the RAM on itself. Okay, so this RAM right here is a DDR4, where you can see it says PC4 4 gigabytes. So I think this is 4 and 4, 8 gigabytes total, and I believe that you can upgrade to 8 and 8 up to 16, or maybe 16 and 16 up to 32 gigs of RAM. So to install the RAM, what you want to do is you want to slide it in. Okay, once you have it in the all the way slide in, you want to push it down, and the clipper will just lock on its own. Alright, so this is your battery right here. So a very good battery, you would see that the battery has no lump or swollen. It's just flat like this. And if your battery is not holding the charge, if you see your battery is swollen, that means the battery is no good. So if you do come across your battery is failing, my strong suggestion is that you should replace the battery, because if the battery is swollen, or it might catch fire one day, right? So stop using if the battery is not in the right condition. Alright, so there are 4 screws. Once I remove the 4 screws, I can actually lift the battery up. The battery has no wire whatsoever, so the battery is just kind of like a snap onto this bracket right here. Alright, so if you want to do a battery replacement, where you're going to look up for the parts is going to be the SR04XL. That is the model of the battery. Or maybe you want to look up for the HP replacement part right here, which is the 917724-855. Alright, so let's put the battery on the side. At this point here, what you can see is you're exposed with the SSD drive right here, which is the 2.5 inch, and this is your NVMe M.2 drive. So to remove the NVMe M.2 drive is just only one Phillips screw right here. So once you remove the screw, the hard drive will just pop right up, and you can slide it to your right. Once you slide it to your right, and this is where your Windows operating system is installed in here. So this one is actually 512 gigabytes, as you can see, 512 GB, and this is the NVMe M.2 drive. If you want to upgrade to 1 terabyte, you can do that, not a problem, but you do need to have the Windows 10 installation CD or a USB to install a fresh install on a new hard drive. Here is actually your thermal pad. So this thermal pad is already pre-existing install for the NVMe. Alright, so let's come across to this part right here. This is actually your hard drive. This might be your secondary drive. So you have a C drive, and this is the D drive. And D drive, maybe you want to store your data on it, things like that. Alright, so it doesn't have any screw or whatsoever that holding onto the drive. It is actually just a slide in. Oops, sorry. It's just a slide in. This is the bracket. So the bracket holds on to the side of this, right? And then you just slide it down. And obviously this is not the 2.5 inch solid state drive or regular hard drive. This is just a casing that the HP has it here for you. Okay, so this is just like a dummy hard drive where you just have to install it like this with the cable right here to set up your secondary drive. Okay, so this is just a dummy cover right here. Alright, so now move on to the next one. This is your NIC card, NIC. NIC stands for Network Interface Card. So this is where your Wi-Fi is holding in place, you know, and maybe the Bluetooth as well. I'm not 100% sure if this one carries the Bluetooth, but I believe it is. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm making a little marker right here. So if you can see that the little blue mark I make on, meaning that the Wi-Fi cable, the blue is on the top, the bottom match with the black. Okay, the blue match with the blue on the top. To remove it, I just pull it up, straight up. It's just like a Lego snap-on. There's no clipper whatsoever. Once you pull it straight up, it will disconnect the Wi-Fi. Alright, so there you have it. I removed the Wi-Fi. Now I want to explain to you, this is your keyboard cable. Alright, so to open up the keyboard cable, you need to flip open the clipper. So this clipper here, I'm using my fingernail, flip it up. You open up to a 90-degree angle, and after that I can just slightly slide the cable away, slide it down. This one here is actually the keyboard lighting. Again, you need to lift up the clipper and then slide the cable out. As you can see, this cable right here runs along. This is actually your touchpad cable, and there's a little clipper here. Lift it up and slide it down. Alright, so I believe this one right here is actually connected to the side of this part, and this is your SD card reader. So open up the clipper, slide the cable down, and that's how you disconnect it. Alright, so let's move on to the next part. Let me see what else I can take it apart for you and show it to you. Oh yeah, so this is your speaker. So if you have a blown speaker, obviously you can see that the speaker connector is right here. To lift it up, you need to gently lift it up. Okay, so I'm using my fingernail, tuck underneath the little white connector, and lift it up. Once I lift the thing up, okay, and I believe, okay, so once you lift it up, the cable is right here. What you want to do is remove the screw, and this speaker right here, you just got to follow along the cable, go all along to the other side on your left speaker and remove that one screw, and that's how you remove or replace the speaker. Alright, so for this purpose I'm not replacing the speaker, so I'm going to put it back in, and I just wanted to demonstrate how you replace a a blown speaker if you have one. Alright, let's try to work on the heatsink and try to see if we can replace the CPU fan at this point. Alright, so let me go ahead and remove some of the screws. I'm not 100% sure what screw goes where and what is it for. So as long as I see it's all part of connected to the CPU fan and the heatsink, I'm just going to try to remove it and figure out which screw that goes where. Alright, so it looks like this plastic cover is still attached to the top part right here, so let's go ahead and remove this as well. The screws are not the same, so you want to be very careful not to mix match the screws because you want to put them back later on. Alright, it looks like I'm getting a little bit more room here. I wonder if this thing is gonna slide out away from here. Yeah, so this bracket right here is, once you remove the screw, it will slide away from you, away from your body, so you slide it out that direction, and then it's actually on top of this metal bracket. So this is metal, okay, this is plastic, so it actually goes on top like this. Okay, so once you remove, this is the metal, put it on the side, and then the plastic cover as well. Now as you can see, obviously I have the two screws. Is it two? One, two, yeah, there are another screw right here. So this one last screw right here is holding onto the CPU fan. Alright, at this point here, I would like to see if I can remove this cable. So the way I'm removing it is I'm using my two fingernails tucked underneath the connector and lift it up. Alright, so there's no any clipper or connection that connects to it. It's just actually a push down, a connector that push down. So to remove it, just lift it up, and once I lift it up, see if I can remove the CPU fan. It looks like it's still attached to the heatsink, so let's come back with this one. Okay, so let's move on to the next one here. I believe this is the CPU fan as well. Let me go ahead and lift it up and disconnect the cable. I'll come back here and remove the plastic cover. As we talk about, the plastic cover is actually slide out, right? Slide away from me, and that's how you remove it. So slide it out, and again make sure the screws are in the right place because they are not the same size. Alright, so it looks like this is more difficult than I thought. It's not that easy to slide it out. Maybe it's stuck. Right, so you need to lift it up a little bit. It looks like they are joined. They are joined in it. So let me hope I can show it to you. So like you see the little hole right here. So those holes are joining with this metal bracket. So you probably need to lift it up a little before you can slide it out away from you. Okay, let's see. So this metal bracket here comes along. Let's go ahead and open up this. Let's go ahead and remove this tape right here and see what do we have. It doesn't have anything. Most of the thing is, I think it's just all the cables. Alright, so let me go ahead and disconnect this cable. To disconnect, I'm just going to slide it to my left. Okay, once I slide it to my left, it get disconnected. I move it behind the fan, and this is actually your DC jack connector, right? So this is where the power comes in. So let's put that on the side here. So once we do that, we see that one screw is exposed. So go ahead and remove this screw. There's another screw right here at the bottom. We'll see if this metal bracket can come out. It looks like it's still stuck. There might be another screw right here. So let's remove that. Alright, so this metal bracket now is free to go. Pay attention, the DC jack connector cable right here is go through the metal bracket, right? So I'm lifting it up through the metal bracket. Make sure you want to put it back accordingly, just like that. Okay, so let's put this on the side. Alright, so the CPU fan actually is ready to come out, but whatever it is, this tape right here is taping onto the heatsink that is holding onto the CPU. What I'm going to do is something a bit different. I'm going to remove the heatsink altogether. Okay, and I'll explain to you how you can remove your CPU fan separately, but I'm going to do a little bit different right here. I'm going to remove the heatsink and the CPU all together in one piece. The reason why I'm doing that is because there is a little plastic tape right here, and this plastic tape I believe is the one that is holding the CPU fan with the heatsink. Okay, so that is the reason why it is not coming out. But if I remove, let me see, if I remove the heatsink, okay, so you can see that the heatsink and the CPU is all come out entirely. Alright, so you see the tape came off. This is where you want to just remove the tape, and just get directly onto the CPU fan. Alright, this is how you remove the entire heatsink and the fan as well. For the part, you can just look it up right here. This is where the heatsink product number, where you can find it. Okay, here, if you feel like your CPU or your graphics card is overheating, it gets hot really fast, or the fan always go on a high speed, you might want to come and dust your fan. At the same time, since you're already exposed to the computer, you might want to come here and clean out the thermal paste. This thermal paste, it looks a little bit dry to me. It's not completely dry, it's still moist, but by the time when you view this video, it's probably like few months old, or maybe 1-2 years old, and I'm pretty sure the thermal paste is all dried up. What you want to do is you want to get an alcohol wipes like this and go ahead and wipe off the dry thermal paste. Once you have the thermal paste wiped off, the next thing you want to do is to get your thermal compound. So this thermal paste here, get it, squeeze it on top, spread it around a little bit, and that's when you put the heatsink back on. Alright, so that's how you apply a new thermal paste on it. Now at this point here, the DC jack here on the left is ready to go. It doesn't have any screw or anything. It looks like a tape is taping onto it. You just got to pry it open, and that's how you replace the DC jack. So if you have a broken DC jack, this is the process on how you're going to do that. To find a replacement part right here, I think the DC jack right here is called 924112F16. So 924112-F16. This is the part number for this DC jack. Okay, so let me put it back here. Alright, so about the motherboard, if you... Alright, so sorry about that. Let me come back to the motherboard. If you want to replace the motherboard, you would have to remove the screws here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe there's 5. No, about 4 or 5 screws Once you remove it, the entire motherboard would just come right out. I'm just going to show it to you really quick. But before you can remove the motherboard, you actually need to remove this LCD cable. So flip the clipper up and go ahead and slide the cable to your right. This is your power button cable. Flip it up and slide it to your right. Okay, so we have that thing in place, and there's one right here. So this is for the secondary drive, right? So we don't have that, so just leave it as is. And let's go ahead and remove the motherboard screw. So 1, 2, 3, so actually you need to open up this clipper, and this cable right here is taping down the connection and the motherboard, and there you have it. So this entire motherboard is just pop right out with the 3 screws that I remove. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what the motherboard brand that you want to look for. So the product number here is DAG3D GMB8DO revision of D. So this is the motherboard. If you want to replace it, that's how you replace and remove the entire motherboard. Alright, at this point here, I wanted to show you you're pretty much final, and I stripped down the entire computer. So once you remove the 2 screws right here, the 4 screw total, the entire hinge would come right off. That means you're separating the laptop, the top bottom and the bottom the top cover and the bottom part case will be separated once you remove the hinge. Okay, so this is the one that is holding onto this top and bottom laptop here. Now if you have a bad keyboard and you want to replace the keyboard, I'm sorry, there's no way you can replace the keyboard. As I can see, the keyboard is punched down. Alright, so this is actually a punch down, not a screw down. The keyboard replacement is almost impossible. What you want to do is you want to remove the 2 screws here on the hinge and remove the entire keyboard by itself entirely, meaning that this entire keyboard right here you would have to replace entirely altogether. Okay, so that is the only way that you can replace and replace your broken keyboard. Alright, so I think this is it. I think the video is more than enough to explain to you every single components, all the parts here. If this video really helps you, please go ahead and click like, smash the like button, and subscribe to the channel. Share this with your friends. If you want, share it with the family. I don't think a family wants to learn how to do the repair on themselves, but at least you're spreading the good word, spreading the good work that I do here. I really appreciate you for doing your part, liking the video and sharing the video as well. So I really hope that I give this complete tutorial, and hopefully this video helps you with your repair and explain to you each of the components. And until next time, please take care and good luck with your repair.